What?
So I think there's that. But then there's also, look, you know, like the Colin Kaepernick thing, I think that probably cost a lot of ratings for the NFL.
Sure. There was that poll that came out that said, I think of the 12% of people who said that they were not watching NFL games last year, 28% of that 12% said that the Kaepernick national anthem thing was the reason.
Does he rock his hat everywhere he go? Is that considered a hat? What is that called that he has on? Is that a hat? What is that he have on? Y'all let me know, please. I seen him, you know, rocking that joint like in different places, and I just want to know if he'd take it everywhere he goes.
Last year, 28% of that 12% said that the Kaepernick national anthem thing was the reason.
Yeah, I mean, some people, it probably emboldened them. They probably liked it, and they wanted to watch it more.
This was fascinating about the cultural breakdown of the country. Basically, white people hated it and black people loved it. This is how the polls were. It was like 72% of black people thought it was great, and like an equal percentage of white people thought that it was just terrible.
But why, though? Why did so many people think it was terrible? And why did so many people think it was great? I can explain to you later on why I thought it was what I thought it was. But I want to know what y'all thought about that move that he did.
Which is a fascinating look at sort of how race relations work in the country at large. It's actually one of the reasons I think that ESPN's been losing ratings. Like, I used to watch ESPN religiously. And now all I want is to just watch my sports and not be bothered with the politics.
Right.
Because I say I do that during the day. Yeah. And it's a pet peeve of mine that every time I turn on ESPN, I have to lecture about Caitlyn Jenner or about Black Lives Matter. It's like, shut up. Caitlyn Jenner hasn't even been athletically relevant since before I was born. I was born in 1984.
Well, the Caitlyn Jenner piece, when they did it for ESPN, and I don't know if this is true or not, but the word was that her getting Athlete of the Year or whatever the award was that she got.
It's like Hero of the Year. It was like the Hero of the Year award. Yeah.
Hero was directly tied to the exclusive interview with Diane Sawyer.
That makes sense.
They sold the two of them together as a package deal, which I buy 100%. If you don't,
for sure.
If you don't, come on, think about
you don't know how TV works if that's the case.
Where she came from. She's Kardashian, okay? She's a giant Kardashian.
That's right.
That's what she is.
A giant Kardashian.
Notice I'm saying she.
You're saying she. I would say
very politically correct.
Yeah, I'm not.
But the video where they circled her house and she was like moving in the shadows behind the drapes. Did you ever see that?
No.
It was wonderful. It was wonderful. It was like the first time she was revealing herself as this woman. So they're circling her house. She's this glorious house, and like looks like it's in Malibu or somewhere. Where they're circling the house, and it's in the hills with a helicopter, like filming. It's like high production value. This isn't just like, hey, you know, we met with Caitlyn at home. Caitlyn, tell us your troubles. You know, like Kristen Beck, the former Navy SEAL, you know, who just sits down very reasonably and says, "This just feels better for me. This is who I am."
Right.
No. There was like curtains and shadows, and it was mysterious, and then she starts talking. It's like,
what? He said curtains and shadows, and it was mysterious. Joe Rogan is really trying to daggone paint the picture for Ben Shapiro. This is hilarious.
Curtains and shadows, and it was mysterious, and then she starts talking. It's like, well, you know, I've always been a man. You're like, whoa, God. And then there was the weirdest part where she said she got surgery, but it doesn't make me any. It wasn't like I was any less of a man or less of a woman before the surgery.
Right. Well, this is the case about gender, right?
Well, then why get the surgery? That was like.
This is, well, there are a lot of questions as to the logic of all of this. Like, you call Caitlyn Jenner Caitlyn Jenner is a biological man.
How dare you?
I know. Sorry
I'm triggered.
Sorry to break this to all the people who listen to your show. Caitlyn Jenner is, like, I had a tweet this week.
All the people that listen probably agree with you.
Yeah,
or at least a good amount do.
The number one retweeted tweet I have ever had 100, and I tweeted it, I think, a day ago, and it has 120,000 likes. And there was a headline from CNN that said transgender man gives birth to what was it? It was transgender man assigned the female sex at birth, gives birth to healthy baby boy. And so I tweeted, woman gives birth to boy.
Right.
Because it's a woman. I mean, that's not a headline. I'm sorry. Like, just because the woman believes she's a man doesn't make her a man. Like, biology still exists. Sex still exists. If you want to say she's a woman who feels like a man, that's fine. If you want to say that, and by the way, I don't even care if she gets hormone treatments or if she wants to have surgery. Like, it's a free country. When you start insisting that I just throw biology out the window, I don't understand why that's any better than I, as a religious person, saying every time you say something, you have to mention God.
Right.
Like, well, I don't have the right to do that to you. Like, well, that's idiotic.
Are you fascinated by it? Are you fascinated by the transgender,
I'm fascinated by the society's obsession with it.
Yes, that's a good way of saying it.
Yeah.
There's not just an obsession. It's compulsory and it's rabid.
So I think that there's a couple.
Honestly, I don't think it's obsession. I don't think it's obsession. I know you guys are going to attack me, but no, you're not, because we're cool now. I don't think it's an obsession. I just think that it's people who realize that there are real people in the world who feel this way, and who I'm talking about deep down in their souls feel this way, feel that they are the sex that they weren't born. You know what I mean? And people understand that they need help fighting the fight that they're fighting, and they are helping them. And the voices are getting louder and louder. The amount of people are getting more and more. So it's starting to seem like an obsession, but it really isn't. It's just people trying to establish some rights for those people. And in order for them to establish those rights in such a stubborn world, they have to get louder and louder and louder. Now, I do agree that you cannot force anyone. Well, you shouldn't be able to force anyone to address you as a certain pronoun. If you want to do it, you can do it, by all means. But I don't think that we should be forced by law to do it. So I'm never thought I would agree with Ben Shapiro on many things, but for that one thing, I do. But I don't look at it as an obsession. I look at it as an actual real thing that is that resonates with a bunch of people. And if you don't understand it fully, then you will look at it as an obsession.
A couple of things that are going on. One is that it's very dark, but I think that there is an element of like, this is different.
And guys, if y'all enjoy this style of content, I know I should have probably said it before I made that comment, but if you enjoy this style of content, please do me a favor, hit the subscribe button, also the notification bell, so the next time we release some content, you'd be the first to be notified.
And we get to revel in the weirdness of it, but we're going to pretend that it's all about the civil rights of it. Right, we're going to feel like special because we're on their side. Right, we're not watching Caitlyn Jenner because it's a curiosity and because it's weird and entertaining. We're doing it because we're on Caitlyn Jenner's side.
But
there
have been
really
trans people forever.
Yeah, right. I mean, Renee Richards was a trans person.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, but it's happened throughout history. I mean, there's what was I reading a couple of days ago about a Roman, like there was something about reports of some trans soldier in the Roman army. More than 1,000 years ago. It's got to be, if it exists now and it's existed before it was popular.
Yeah.
I mean, there's got to be a lot of people that turn trans now just because it's exciting. Oh, there it is right there. A trans soldier in the ancient Roman army.
That wouldn't...
Of course.
It wouldn't be surprising.
I'm not shocked.
No.
I'm not shocked.
I mean...
Was there ever any trans, KKK members that y'all know of? I'm not going to take it back to my black base and let them know, see? They got trans people underneath their daggone sheets. Nah, I'm not going to do that. I just want to know. That's just, we talking about curiosity and information that we want to know. I want to know that.
That wouldn't...
Of course.
It wouldn't be surprising.
I'm not shocked.
No.
I'm not shocked.
I mean, it's a condition. I mean,
right.
the DSM called it gender identity disorder, and then they called it gender dysphoria. It's a condition. I mean, like, I'm not saying conditions don't exist.
Dysphoria. But that, in a lot of people's mind, is labeling it somehow or a negative.
Well, I mean, it is highly linked to suicidality. There's a 40% lifetime suicide rate for people who have this particular gender disorder. That seems to me not to be like a great positive.
Whether or not they transition, yeah.
Whether or not they transition, yeah. I mean, and again, I don't care if you transition, do what you want to do, but
right.
The idea that we as an entire society have to redefine what sex is, and we have to blind ourselves to what biology is, this is something I'm not willing to do. I think that it's actually damaging to kids, particularly.
I'm more than willing to call her a she, and change, but you can only change your name once.
I'm willing to call Caitlyn Jenner Caitlyn Jenner. I'm not willing to call Caitlyn Jenner a she.
Oh.
Because you can't change your sex. You can change your name.
Right.
You can change your name to whatever you want. I don't care. But you can't. Caitlyn Jenner is not a chicken. Caitlyn Jenner is not a woman.
Now, why is that the hill that we want to die on, though? Like, I get it. It's like, wow, I got millions of people who believe the same way, so I'm going to fight the good fight. So you got people who want to be on the right side of history and defend that side, and then you got people who want to, be against it 1,000%, because both sides, it has to be a fight. It shouldn't have to be a fight. I love what you said just now. Why can't we just love and accept each other as we are? Why can't we just somebody say, look, I'm a she. Can you call me a she? Be like, okay, you got it. How does that hurt us? How does that hurt us? Like, okay, you got to go change it first. You got to go legally change it first. Let me see your certificate. Okay, it says she now. Okay, you got it. I'm going to call you she. Why should it have to be that? It shouldn't even matter to us. Like, it's their life. Yeah, why not? But I get it. I get it because I don't feel like you should be forced. Like, you shouldn't come up under scrutiny by simply not adhering to somebody else's rules that says that you need to address me as this, that neither one of us know if I am.
You want. I don't care. But you can't. Caitlyn Jenner is not a chicken. Caitlyn Jenner is not a woman.
Chicken.
Caitlyn Jenner is a man, a biological man. And if a man lost his penis and in a tragic accident, it wouldn't make him a woman. And if he were born with high doses of estrogen in his bloodstream, he would also not be a woman.
Right.
You're determined by your chromosomes. And this is not even talking about intersex people. Like, intersex is an actual status. Intersex is a biological status. But this nonsense that if you, Joe Rogan, decide tomorrow that you are a woman, no surgeries, no hormone, nothing. You just tomorrow, you wake up and not decide, but you feel like a woman. Then you have always been a woman.
Like
we must treat you as a woman.
Yeah.
You don't have to change anything about yourself for us to even determine whether you're a woman. We just, no. I'm sorry, no. I mean, like, I had mental illness. I had a grandfather. This is not me being unsympathetic to people who suffer from a condition that is really tragic and obviously harms people, in terms of, the rates of suicide and depression are astounding. My grandfather was a bipolar schizophrenic, and it would have not been good for him or my family if people had said to him, Nate, you're right, the radio is talking to you. Nate, you're right, the curtains are talking to you. They put him in a mental hospital, they gave him lithium, and then he was better, and he could actually live a normal, relatively happy life. There's no good treatment for gender identity disorder, gender dysphoria, whatever you want to call it, but to suggest that it is a condition that doesn't require treatment, that really it's just that you're actually brain female. Again, this is ascientific. There's no scientific evidence to back this whatsoever. Even these studies that have been done talking about there's a female brain and a male brain. First of all, if you say this to a feminist, you're a sexist. Right?
Right.
If you say to a feminist, there's a female brain and a male brain, and the male brain works differently than the female brain, the feminist will look at you like, how dare you?
Well, it's also one of the
you?
rare times where you're allowed to celebrate classic definitions of female beauty when a man embraces them when he becomes a woman. Lipstick, high heels, short skirt. This is like not sexist.
Caitlyn Jenner was only a woman when Caitlyn Jenner was on the cover of Vanity Fair and a bustier.
Right. Yeah.
But if he had just said, listen, I look exactly the same as I did yesterday, but I'm a woman.
Yeah, if he got a short haircut and dressed like Billie Jean King.
Right. It's the reason why the media loves Laverne Cox, because Laverne Cox has had surgeries and looks a lot like a woman. So
I don't know who Laverne Cox is.
The guy from, the transgender woman from Orange is the New Black.
I never watched that show.
I've never watched that show either, but she's on the cover of Time magazine.
You definitely watched that show, Ben Shapiro. He definitely watched the show, but that's not even a knock at him. This whole conversation is, could you imagine actually being transgender and or having a transgender child and having to listen to these conversations? Just think about it from that scope, please. At some point, we need to put ourselves in their positions, and we need to understand what they might feel by us simply having these conversations about them and deciding what's best for them. That in and of itself isn't right. It's not. Like, he's talking to someone who has such a heavy opinion on something and speaks against it all the time. And is adamant about what he's not going to do and why he's not going to do it, and constantly compares it to a brain disorder. That can't feel right from people who actually are transgendered. It can't.
Oh.
Or he's on the cover of Time magazine.
Well, there was the woman in that show. Isn't that the one where the girl who is that the girl?
Yeah. That's Laverne Cox.
Okay.
There you go.
That's a woman or man?
That's a man.
It used to be a man.
It used to be a man.
It's a woman now. Very tricky.
No, still a man, but
transgender tipping point. I'm so out of the loop. I'm that old man. I'm that old man who always wondered.
Look at that headline there, right? It says America's next civil rights frontier, and that's the key. You have a bunch of people in the United States who are suggesting that they want the next civil rights fight, always the next civil rights fight, right?
Yeah.
So the civil rights fight is immigration, or the civil rights fight is gay marriage, or the civil rights fight is transgenders. Okay, how about this? How about there was only one real civil rights fight, and it was about black people who had been historically oppressed in the United States for 200 years.
There had been slaves.
Yes, who had been slaves, and then Jim Crow.
Transgenders.
This is correct.
Yeah.
Okay. The worst that Caitlyn Jenner had experienced was being incredibly wealthy in a high net worth suburb. This is not to say that transgender people aren't discriminated against.
That was actually a good one. I'm sorry. That was actually a good one. I'm sorry, guys. I know. Listen, it was a good one.
A high net worth suburb. This is not to say that transgender people aren't discriminated against in some areas of American life. I'm sure that's true, but it's also like behavior is not the same as being born black or being born Asian or being born with, disabled. Like if I'm a business owner and I hire you and you're a man and you come in the next day and you're dressed in a woman's clothing saying you're a woman, but you still have a full beard, like I don't see why I as a business owner am expected to eat the cost of that. Like that seems bizarre to me.
Eat the cost is a great way to phrase it. I didn't have a dog in this fight. I was completely open and liberal about it until there was a case where a man who had been a man for 30 years became a woman for a little less than 2 years and then started MMA fighting women.
Yes, exactly.
Beating these women.
No. I'm completely against that right there. Listen, no. Ain't no way in the goddamn world that anybody should okay that. No. And you're talking about equal is equal, then that has to happen. But come on, bro. At some point, we need to say, come on. Nah. Nope.
Years and then started MMA fighting women.
Yes, exactly.
Beating these women and
Shocker.
not proclaiming that he or she used to be a man because in quotes, it was a medical condition that I did not need to disclose. Like, that's not a medical condition.
Right.
And if you ever watch the fights, she wasn't winning.
Fallon Fox?
Yes.
Yeah.
She wasn't winning because she was skillful. She was manhandling these women. It was ugly.
Of course.
It was horrible.
Of course. Like this is, but again, it's so funny how the transgender.
Please let me know which fighter that was. I really want to know now. I got to look into that. I'm sorry, I said that wrong. I want to see where this gentleman who became a woman admitted to doing what they were doing purposefully, but not disclosing the information because to them it was a medical condition that did not need to be disclosed. I need to see that because they knew right in their damn mind exactly what they was doing, in my opinion.
These women, it was ugly.
Of course,
it was horrible.
Of course, like this is. But again, it's so funny how the transgender movement destroys the feminist movement by living off of the sort of lies that the feminist movement promulgated. So the feminist movement said things like women and men equally athletic proficient.
Well, that's
and
something
that's
that has been
true.
repeated very recently, that there's no biological difference in the genders and it's all social.
I mean, I'm just sorry.
Horseshit.
There's no scientific evidence to back that, and it's particularly true with regard to actual physical capacity. This is just nonsense.
Not just no scientific evidence, but a mountain.
Yeah. I mean,
mountain of it against
my favorite study on this is, you remember there was those commercials about like throwing like a girl, running like a girl.
Right.
Remember those feminist commercials saying, what is it to be running like a girl? And they would show an adult woman and she'd be running all girly, and then they would show a little girl and she's running, and it's still a little girly, but she's running, like normally. But
fierce.
It's only exactly fierce. It's only society that has forced the little girl to run like a woman. First of all, I have a 3-year-old girl. She runs like a girl. Second of all, and it's not because I'm teaching her. And it's not because her mom runs, because she doesn't, right?
But does she play with dolls because you're a sexist pig?
It's because of that. My daughter started off liking trucks like in the first year, and now she likes playing with dolls and dressing up in princess dresses. Like, who cares? She's a girl. She's always been a girl. She'll always be a girl, whether she likes trucks or whether she likes dresses.
Yeah, that was an issue with one of my daughters, too. My daughter was a little worried about her. I go, she's going to be a dyke. She's like, no. I go,